Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Valentine Lister, and this is the weekly astrology and tarot forecast for Sunday, November 7th through Saturday, November 13th. Should be an interesting week. Some, I don't know, funky energy. We have some transits that might be intense, so I'm going to walk you through it. I find that if you're prepared for things that are happening, it's a little bit helpful, but I don't really know any times over the past couple years where the energy has been completely smooth. So you guys, you're warriors, you can handle it. So I'm going to walk you through it. But before I do that, I just want to let you guys know about a promotion discount I'm offering on readings with me. So right now you can get $20 off your very first reading with me by going to my website, valentinelister.com. And when you book a reading, you can put in the discount code of $20. So what do I offer? Well, I offer one-on-one tarot card readings or birth chart readings over Zoom video chat. So live one-on-one. And so what's the difference between the two? Like, why would you want to book one over the other? So the birth chart reading looks at your natal chart, where the planets were when you were born, your natal promise, and it's looking at the overall picture of your life in terms of your fate or destiny. And so it looks at like the bigger picture of your life, the patterns, what the stars said about what you were going to do in this life, your fate or fortune, and just like why things are going the way they're going. It's all in your chart. It's really cool. It's why I'm an astrologer. And also looking at transits, things coming up for you so that you can be better prepared. Tarot cards are better for if you have like a specific question and you want some guidance or advice on it. That's something where like a tarot card reading would be better. If you have like questions you can do for birth charts as well. But if you want to know like really like what's guidance on like what I should do, tarot cards are a little bit better for that. Okay, so the first transit that we have coming up is Mars and Mercury make a conjunction and then they square Saturn. So could be scary, but could be amazing. That's going to be happening again Wednesday, November 10th at around 8:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Mars is the god of war. He's impulsive. He likes to fight and cause like death and destruction and wars. So Mars was not really like a planet that people liked a lot. There's not a ton of stories about him. He didn't have a lot of temples or people following him because he was scary and he was impulsive and he didn't always think things through. And then he's connected with Mercury, the god of mischief, games, negotiation, can travel through realms. And also Mercury, he can hang out with anybody and get along just fine. So Mars was considered a malefic or a life-taking planet. You could think of that like in terms of nature, like taking away life, like, cutting a tree or a plant, or the end of life. And so Mercury was neither malefic or benefic. He could go either way and get along with anybody. So he's coming into a conjunction. Mars and Mercury are coming into a conjunction, and then we're squaring Saturn. Saturn is a planet that was also another malefic, who was all about restricting things in order to maintain life, basically like pruning a garden. But Saturn is all about restriction, the harsh realities of life. And it also speaks to the boundaries or restrictions that we have in this life, or restrictions that are imposed upon us. And it's in this aspect that is in a square. So a square is of the nature of Mars. So basically Mars and Mercury are getting together to fight Saturn. And it should be interesting because Mars is in its own domicile in Scorpio, which means it's at home, it's really strong. And then Saturn is also in its own domicile, it's at home as well. So really two planets that are very, very strong. And also, we're leading up to the first quarter moon. So we're facing a conflict that the universe is forcing us to face, whether we like it or not. And so on that Wednesday, like we're building up energy. And so this transit, we're probably going to feel like towards the beginning of the week, but it gets the most intense and we'll see it the most leading up to that morning, November 10th at 8:07 a.m. So what could this mean, right? So it's like planning a game or action in a new, clever, or innovative, or mischievous way, or something you're not expecting, because the Mercury is like behind the scenes, planning, and taking action, like taking an action in a way that can be productive. So this could be good or bad, right? And it's probably both. It's probably going to be a little bit of both, but it seems like it's going to be a very powerful aspect. And this might have already happened. We might have had powerful things already happen. I'm actually doing this forecast ahead of times before Thanksgiving hits, before the holidays, so I can be better prepared. So Mars, again, was more reckless and impulsive in its destruction. Saturn is the slowest moving planet. So it's restricted and cautious and sets boundaries and can be harsh. It was associated, really, Saturn was also associated with like the god of agriculture, right? So cutting things down, planting seeds, and then really doing the hard work to take care of them. So Saturn is restrictions, but Saturn is like the restriction of time, things happening a long time over time, and so structures and boundaries that take a long time to really establish. And so when Mars and Saturn come together, there can be a real slowing down in a way that's really productive. So if you've been following tarot videos, you use tarot, you can think of the Three of Pentacles kind of having this energy, because it's associated with Mars and Capricorn. So it's Mars and Saturn coming together in some way that can be productive and build structures. So they're building a church in the Three of Pentacles, and they're planning it out. So it could be this energy of like real productiveness. So it could be productiveness in a very like physical way, like really basically like, I fixed a drawer that day. I got a mouth guard fitted, which is funny. Like on other days in my journal where I've had like Mars, Saturn, like squares, like transits like that, which is funny because Saturn is associated with the bones and the teeth. Things getting done, but we could also like have like things like our alarms not going off, difficulty, crankiness, just on a very personal level. On a larger level, we might see a big conflict, rebellion, a plan of action we see that we weren't expecting, in conflict, like fighting against the restrictions of Saturn. So not to bring up anything like I really don't want to bring up anything too like distressing, but so in January when we had like these kind of uprisings and rebellions, so we had in the US the incident at the Capitol. I think you guys know what that was, and we also actually had the issue with stocks, like people buying like GameStop stocks and trying to pump the market and trying to like game the system in some way. So we might see an aspect of that. And there was also an aspect that happened in the summer, but those weren't super effective, right? But now we have Mars in Scorpio where it's super strong. So we might see some type of action that's super effective, but hopefully productive. So it could be action that people are taking in some way to improve society or correct the things that they think are wrong in society, but hopefully in a more productive way that's more life-giving. So the other thing that's happening is there's this secret Mars and Jupiter antitia happening along the way. So that means, and actually Mercury is in the mix there too. So there's like this secret conjunction with Jupiter, meaning that Meaning that hopefully it is going to be something that's a real feel-good energy where we all feel unified and feel this sense of belonging and feel like we can implement action or even rile things up in a way that's super life-giving and productive. So Jupiter is a benefic planet, life-giving, and so it's secretly in the mix. So that makes me think that hopefully whatever happens, whatever conflict happens with like trying to figure out or take action in a way where we can structure our lives or like build something, will be something that secretly has this element of feeling good and can be super productive and not cause so much distress. So the thing with Mars in Scorpio and being at home is that it knows better when to take action and when to take action effectively and to tune in with everybody, and really sense what's going to work and what's not, and what's going to be also nurturing to people. And Mars in Scorpio also has this aspect of being protective of people that are more vulnerable in a way, because, you know, with the association of Artemis and it's a more feminine sign, it can be protective of like emotions and more the feminine aspects of like people's feelings. So even though I brought up like those other incidents, when these aspects come back, we can see like a similar theme, but they're not going to come back. We're not going to see action in the same way that we saw it before. So, you know, this Mars and Mercury square Saturn may have nothing to do at all with those incidents that happened before. But it's going to the larger theme of we feel restricted, but also we look at the structures in our lives and we might go, these are not working. Let's break it down and rebuild it in some way. So hoping for good energy, but it could be kind of disruptive. And it may not. So the next day, November 11th, we have the first quarter moon in Aquarius. That's kind of in that mix and it's near Saturn, but it's getting into a conjunction with Jupiter. So that's always a good thing. So we're rising up and meeting a conflict in this first quarter moon, which I think is just going to be a continuation, you know, from the day before. It's just kind of going to be a buildup, and we're going to like see things break out the day before, but then we're going to see this like conflict really come out and be like super visible during the first quarter moon, because the first quarter moon makes us deal with problems that we haven't wanted to deal with before. We're like, we'll get to that, and the universe is like, now you got to deal with it now. And yeah, so the moon in Aquarius is all about protecting and navigating this environment where everybody has an opinion. Everybody has their own ideas of what they think should be happening. And the thing is, we also need to come together as a group with everybody having a different idea. And so the way that Saturn in Aquarius would deal with it, as opposed to Saturn in Capricorn, is that we all have the right to say what we think. Now, the problem is it can be polarizing, because when we say what we think, it can come across quite harsh, and then we're all arguing. And so we've had a lot of Saturn energy the past couple of years, and we've had Saturn in Aquarius for a while. It's going to be there for a while. But we might see some conflict surrounding voicing our opinions, defending ourselves, and defending our ideas and our freedoms and our rights to say what we think. But hopefully this is going to be in a way that's actually like making us feel unified, because that moon is getting, again, in that conjunction with Jupiter, like this benefic planet, which is the higher purpose and meaning in life and sees connection in all things. So I'm thinking that there is a possibility that the day before and then this first quarter moon with the conflicts that are happening, they're going to have a secretly unifying aspect in some way. And a lot of like, you might not have faith in this. I'm not sure what's going to happen exactly, right? I can just kind of predict, and it's like the weather, then we see what really happens. But the thing is, like, I have trouble trusting that people are going to come together. But as a Jupiter ruled person, I'm Sagittarius rising, I do feel like there's a productiveness when we have like chaos and conflict, that's just kind of like shaking things up so that we can find a solution and all come together. And so I think that first quarter moon will have that quality of things being shaken up. Just hearing people's opinions, like having conflict with them, maybe fighting things out on our beliefs, but then finding that really expressing ourselves in some way and having this conflict helps us to unify with other people on a personal level, but also in our larger relationships, like at work, in our community, and at large in our society. So I'm thinking that this first quarter moon and the things coming up will be productive. And then next we have Sun square Neptune on Friday, November 12th at 11:20 a.m. So we will feel this, again, these transits probably feel the energy most of the week, but the dates I'm giving you is when it's going to heighten and perfect. We'll feel it the most closest to those dates. So at about 11:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, November 12th, on that Friday, Sun is going to square Neptune. So there is some disillusionment or idealism in the mix with these conflicts, and that might be like why they're coming up a little bit, but the Sun square Neptune is coming after. So here's the thing, squares again are conflict, so we have a lot of conflict energy, and so we have the Sun, and the Sun represents Apollo or Helios and things being illuminated. You could think of the Sun as the truth. It's the luminary that sheds light and helps us to see the truth, helps us to feel like what our soul is pushing us to do, helps us to see where we're going. It's also associated with the lion, so kings and leaders, the divine masculine, so masculine figures and leaders. And the Sun really thrives in the light, in the truth. However, it's coming into a square with Neptune, and Neptune, I had talked about the mythology in that a couple weeks ago, and Neptune could be really kind of angry, was the god of earthquakes, and he can also be associated, we're having like a nor'easter as I'm filming this is like a couple weeks before with the Neptune transit, so it could be associated with like disruption in water or emotions or the way that we view things, and both positive and negative. But it's also, Neptune had this like obsessive energy where he would pursue like the objects of his desire until they just gave up, and he also like had this element of like deception where he looked like freedom but was not, when he turned himself into a horse with Demeter. And then this element of, even if he fell in love with Neptune, there's like this deceptiveness, this like poison behind it. And the Sun itself, like Apollo, he kind of had this obsessive energy too, but it was obsessiveness with the truth, and with illuminating things and really like putting yourself and the truth forcefully forward and being heard. You kind of think of Leo energy. It's like if they have something they really need to say and express, you're not going to get them to stop expressing it. They're going to say it, and they're going to say their truth. And if you didn't hear it the first time, they're going to repeat it till you get it, right? But then we have Neptune, who's obsessively about getting what they want, and this deception or getting this fantasy or illusion. So the Sun is really battling with deception, right? So we're going to have this conflict where we're really trying to see the truth in something, or see the truth in a situation, or with a male figure, so our spouse, our boss, leaders, people in the media, politicians, but really having this deceptiveness, like we know we're not being told the truth or getting duped in some way, and really feeling like this heartbreakingness, because the Sun is associated with the heart. And so like an example of this is just like I had, the Sun square Neptune, like when I journaled about it, looking at my journal, it's these times where I felt really disillusioned, like with my husband, after a big fight with him, and just like really our fight was so bad. I was like, I don't even believe in love anymore. That's not true now. I got over it. We're very much in love, in a great place in our relationship, but really feeling disillusioned when it comes to love can be an aspect. Disillusioned by the people that you put trust and faith in to guide you, and lead you. It also could be fun, a fun fantasy, you know, I'm like ragging on Neptune, but it could be fun. Like my daughter turned me into different animals with her fake magic wand. She's 3. Like I went and had fun at the park, but then my kids weren't listening, so I played a trick on them. I can't remember what it was, but I wrote it down. So like there's trickiness. You know, you might feel sleepy. You might feel like a sickness. So the sun is also about vitality and that life force. And so with Neptune and kind of this like uneasy feeling, there might be this sickness. Things also might look extra beautiful. Like the roses in my garden looked ultra real, like trippy, right? So I also saw lots of videos on psychosis that like on previous experiences with Sun square Neptune. Neptune, the reason I don't think of Neptune as such a great planet is because, you know, I've worked in counseling, like mental, and I've worked with people who struggle with mental illness and psychosis. And so with Neptune transits, um, it can be really difficult mentally because you're not seeing things clearly. And when you can't see things clearly and your mind is confused, it can really get to you. Although, you know, if you want to, if it's a good day to like, you know, perhaps live in fantasy land, you know, and like dream a little bit and, you know, really like if things do look ultra real or beautiful, really enjoy them. But it's really not a great place for taking action or making decisions. And the sun really is about your path forward and taking action. And it's just like feeling really disillusioned around that and, you know, how to take action. So it really depends where you are and your relationship with Neptune and moving forward. You know, I have Neptune 3 degrees from my ascendant, and this is why also I don't think Neptune is so great because sometimes for me, like having personal natal Neptune can really like cover your eyes and where you know people aren't telling you the truth, but you're trying to see things clearly and then never really getting the truth or getting really caught in a fantasy where you're like, this is amazing, or this person is great, or this person is my leader or my guru or something, and really going after them and like kind of losing yourself like in that person, and then they don't end up to be who you think they are. And so the sun, I also have sun in my first house, my sun in personality. So I actually have these two aspects, you know, pretty close together in my chart. And so the sun really thrives on the truth and things being revealed and things being out in the open. And so I don't think the sun and Neptune really, you know, play well together from my experience. And so the interesting thing though, this Neptune energy might like end up helping to like fuel like moving forward where we feel disillusioned and kind of have this rebellious energy. So on Saturday, November 13th, we have Mercury opposition Uranus at about 10:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's this energy of like, so Mercury, again, he's the god of mischief, playing games, talking his way out of problems, really playful, really doesn't know when to stop, and is always like 10 steps ahead of people. And so he's going to oppose Uranus. And Uranus is the guy he kept pushing his babies back into Gaia, the goddess of the earth in the beginning. He really didn't want responsibility. He really wanted to break away and be in the land of ideas and inspiration because he was a sky god, not a super grounded god. So he is making this liberating aspect to Mercury where Mercury will be able to kind of fly with his ideas and separate. So it's this energy of like some kind of liberation in terms of a plan of action or ideas. Perhaps something we've been thinking of and marinating on in terms of a strategy because Mercury is in Scorpio, which is ruled by that Mars in Scorpio, so it's well dignified. So a plan or mischief or action that's really in tune with the emotions of people, the emotions of yourself, what we all need for survival, and finding like this clever plan to break away in some way and really feeling liberated. So it is this feeling of like being liberated with this like disillusionment type energy. And we may be like, so the reason I was bringing up Neptune is because Neptune is conjunct the moon. So the environment is that we can't see clearly. And we know this is bothering us because we have that sun square Neptune. And so we take an action to break away from whatever deception is happening. And Mercury is super clever. So and in Scorpio, maybe really like targeted information that's very strategic coming out and being communicated in some way, or some type of even some type of like discovery or something, that where we're able to like be liberated in some way, some kind of energy that helps us to fight this deception in some way. And so these things, again, they can be small. They could just be in your personal life, everyday things, or they can be larger issues. And sometimes like we have a buildup when with astrologers, they're like, this transit is going to be amazing and this transit is going to be amazing. Some of them are, but a lot of it is like minor, you know. Change happens slowly over time. We could see that. We have Saturn in Aquarius, and we're all thinking, Saturn in Aquarius, like we're really going to see life change. No, change in structure, it happens slowly. Feeling this higher, like having things come together in a way that's meaningful, or where you feel like you belong, also takes time, because even with Jupiter energy in the mix this week, those things take time. But I'm going to pull cards for the weekly reading, and we'll see where this energy is going to take us. Okay, so I'm going to pull cards, and I just want to get a card for like a summary of the energy for the week. So, ooh, we have the Seven of Cups. I feel like this came up before, like not that long ago. So we have the Seven of Cups energy. So meeting our desires in a way that's really strategic. Meeting desires in a way that's really strategic. Really being able, like this snake is popping out here, really seeing to be able to see that snake and be that snake and be really clever in our dealings. And I don't know, really having, it's like really letting this dragon and the skull is popping out. And this laurel wreath here. So really having victory in terms of our dragon energy, our darker energy, like our inner warrior is coming out. And so meeting our needs and desires for some type of pleasure, or seeing things that we want in a very strategic way. So gaining them and getting our desires met, or people getting their desires met in a very strategic way, and maybe in kind of a destructive way or a vicious way, but more so what I'm having come out in a very powerful way. Yeah, so it's an effective, powerful fight. It's not something that's just destruction for destruction's sake, but kind of like there's conflict with a purpose this week is what I'm getting. Okay, and so the advice for this week. Ooh, we had this cards come up not that long ago. It's a lot of Scorpio energy, a lot of Scorpio popping out. So the advice for the week is we have the Six of Cups, which is related to the sun in Scorpio. We do have the sun in Scorpio, right? Yeah, the advice is we're going to be given a gift this week. Where we see like the fruits of our labor coming up. So this flower is popping up out of this pot for me. So we're really seeing the fruits of our labor come up this week. We're not going to keep feeling like we're doing things and not getting anything out of it. But we're going to see something coming from that. Interesting. And the final outcome of this week is we have the Two of Wands reversed. Two of Wands reversed, is actually Mars in Aries. So the outcome of this week is we might end the week in a fight, something global, something that has to do with our world, and some type of fighting energy where people are feeling disgruntled, where they're trying to get the upper hands on things. kind of this energy of either, like when this is reversed, there can either be this energy of like people feeling like wiped out, lack of energy or sick, or really cranky and like vicious. So I really feel like our fighting energy is coming out, and we'll really see this fighting energy by the ends of the week. And really, like this energy of trying to get dominance over other people in some way, like dominance in our society, the way we see the world, dominance in our relationships, in our life, in actually having a say in our life, trying to get this upper hand, um, in like having a say in our life. So this is not just on like a society level. This is also, again, because it's a collective reading, like it's also in our personal life. So having a say, I'm thinking bosses is coming up also, like having a say in our personal life and really having this grounded structure that meets our needs better in some type of way, and having more of a balance in our life instead of having such extremes. But we're fighting for it by the end of the week. We're not just like, oh yeah, like whatever, I'm just going to go with the flow. It's like, no, I'm here. I need to be heard. And I'm ready to connect with my inner warrior, my rebellious self, and really delve into the deeper meanings of life. And it's really this feeling of feeling vital. So let me see, I'm going to look at what we can do to support our mind, bodies, and spirits, and see where our mind, body, and spirit is at. Okay. Okay, this is good. This is good. Our minds are going to be in a good place this week. That is what I'm getting. This like very grounded, like there's going to be conflict. And this may sound bad, but we're going to feel good about it, grounded and centered in a good place. We have the 10 of Pentacles upright, and this represents Mercury and Virgo. So this is very much like this grounded, strategic type of energy that's super productive and gets us where we want to be, but also supports our environment in some way, our physical needs. So our physical need for relationships and affection, our need to provide for our families, our need, for love and romance, our need for fun and playfulness, and our need to support life, our need for loyalty, all of those things. So turning the house upside down is a message I'm coming through in a way that is like building our own castle. So really feeling like we're taking action and we're having these conflicts, but these conflicts are productive because they're building a foundation for a family, a life, building a foundation for our children to thrive and grow in, building this foundation, where we're feeling super grounded and fertile and abundant, setting a fertile foundation for love in our relationships. So again, this can be very personal in our minds, like our everyday life, the everyday things we do. And it could be on a larger scale that we're seeing. And generally, it's both a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But we're really going to feel like our minds are clear this week, even though we have that Neptune energy in the mix. We're going to be aware of deceptions. It's not coming to us where we're not aware that we're being deceived in some way. And in our body is interesting. So we have a lot of these people cards coming up. So it very much is how we deal with our relationships, the people personal and close to us, and just seeing some themes, seeing like this Two of Wands coming up, and we had the Queen of Cups a couple weeks ago, and the Queen of Swords. So interesting in the body position, like we have the Queen of Cups. So interesting because it's a person, but it's relating to our bodies. So maybe feeling a lack of vitality. And a lack of energy, or even feeling like upset with our emotions when it comes to our bodies. So this is making me think that in our bodies, like we might feel super emotional, we might feel a sickness, but this is like, since it's a person card, it may relate to another person. with like seeing people not feeling good in their bodies in some way. So maybe people around us, like this close, nurturing, like motherly figure is gonna, like there might be a sickness or illness this week. So maybe it's the time of year, things are getting colder, and people are more inside. And even though most of us are taking precautions, that like life is kind of getting back to a little bit more normal, at least where I am. I know, I know some of you like are in Canada or Australia or other places, where you might still be under like a lot of restrictions. We do have some restrictions here in where I am. I'm in New Jersey in the United States, but for the most part, things are getting back to normal. We're having to wear masks and things, but this time of year, it is November, so the more people are indoors and inside, we might see an increase in people not feeling well and people getting sick. Yeah, and like respiratory illnesses, because this card being associated with cancer, a lot of times that has to do with the lungs. So maybe seeing a resurgence of people getting sick and people close to us related to like respiratory illnesses, or people close to us that are like mother figures or women, not feeling good in their bodies in some way. And then spirit, interesting. We have the Queen of Swords. So again, this is a person. So seeing someone who is super spirited in some way, a maternal figure, motherly figure that just says it as it is, and perhaps in our spirit, in the spirit position, feeling inspired by someone who just says what they think, and someone who's going to lead the way forward for us and make us feel really like we can say what we think and we can communicate clearly, and helps us communicate clearly. So someone personal to us, a friend, a family member, mother, sister, a wife, someone who's a boss, someone who's a leader in some way, that's helping us communicate clearly, helping us to keep our minds clear and really feel inspired and invigorated. So I'm going to show you guys these cards in a sec. Let me see if I'm picking up anything else. I mean, this is really a rebellious week, but a week where we feel like super grounded, centered, and full of vitality. And maybe like having that aspect of protecting people that are more vulnerable with this Queen of Cups in the body position, protecting our bodies, protecting how we treat our bodies, our say over our bodies, and really being in tune in that, and being willing to fight, being willing to say what we think, and doing that in a grounded and strategic way where we've really thought it through and really thought all of the steps. And so I think this is a really exciting week. It has Scorpio energy written all over it. And so it's Scorpio energy. It's getting in touch with our inner warrior in a very powerful way, in a way that we've reflected on things. We thought about it, and now we're ready to take action. Hey guys, so here are the cards for the week. So these cards, again, this was the summary of the week, the advice, and the outcome. And this is mind, body, and spirit. So you can pause the video to look at these cards if you want to just reflect on them a little bit more. Hope you guys have a really great week. And I'm here like guiding you with that fighting spirit to live life fully, and to live life that you feel good about and feels inspired and vital. Love you guys so much. And I think at the end, I'll put some videos, if you're interested in looking more. Oh, also, I forgot, if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get more videos like this if you like this tarot and astrology video. And I'm also doing cards on the minor arcana. I'm going through the swords. So there's that too. I release videos every week. So take care, guys. Love you so much. Bye. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video every single week.